You get to see me in two ways, photograph and here. That was a photograph taken in Seattle, so I guess two places as well. Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to thank the Greater Pittsburgh Arts Council and, of course, its Research and Policy Director, David Pancratz, for shepherding my invitation here today. I'd also like to join in thanking Point Park University. Note that it's very exciting to me to be in a city that has an academical village, which is sort of reinventing the idea of an academical village from 1826 or so, when Thomas Jefferson helped create that idea at the University of Virginia. This is something I've been working on in my work as both as a professor and also in city planning for a long time. It's been looking at this question about how we can make universities more engaged in the city and how they can actually take part of the physical space of the city in a new way, which is not about exclusive enclaves, but rather about entities that engage the city. And to me, that's exactly to the point of today's talk, which is like, what can you do? One of the questions that you had in your last session was whether, what can we do to convince people, to spread the message that people can come to Pittsburgh to reinvent themselves? That was from the first session. And I'll just tell you that, obviously I have a bit of a way of looking at this because of like sort of planning and urban design background, but I think one of the best ways to convince people that the city is a place you can reinvent yourself, whether you're from here or coming here, is that the city looks like it's reinventing itself. Whether a neighborhood reinvents itself, whether a district reinvents itself, whether downtown reinvents itself, whether much deeper into the neighborhoods, the same thing can happen. And happen in a way that is creative. And I think that kind of demonstration, there's no better indicator to individuals and human beings of opportunities for change and transformation than if the place has had a positive change. So I'm here to address this issue, and thank you. I'm passionate about it, how we all, the city, nonprofits, artists, help to build an environment where creative sectors thrive. From design to communications, data technologies, entertainment, software, hardware, developers. I put it simply, that we're at a time when Pittsburgh is asking for more. More knowledge, more action, more results in building innovation in the community. Mayor Patuno is asking for more, asking all of us to aspire to deliver a city where we not only expand the innovative economy, but also work to see its benefits shared across our wide range of diverse communities. In city planning and urban design, as I've said, is my most expertise and most important responsibilities here as planning director, the foundational purpose is to set up a framework for success. You can compare it to something that I've done a lot in my work, which is writing a design competition. If you write competition rules well, you'll unleash hundreds of creative, inspired solutions, whether it's for design of a public space or an arts center. If you write it wrong, you'll get the results that everybody has already seen 100 times. When I led the team that wrote the design competition rules for a new TKTS booth in public space in Times Square in New York, we never expected the result to be a transparent red staircase. We never thought of it. But the two fellows from Australia, who were inspired to draw it, literally for the first time on sand on the beach in Sydney, and ultimately see it built thousands of miles away, it happened. If we'd written the competition rules differently, too tightly, too much from past experience, we would have never gotten the iconic work of public art and public use that we did. So the city, by the rules it writes, by policies, by initiatives, can either set the stage for creativity or not. It's a choice and one we have to work for every day. So let me mention a few ways the city is doing this, both in programs where I have a direct leadership role and ones where I'm supporting my colleagues. Since last time, I think I'm the replacement for the mayor this morning, so I will try to channel Mayor Patuno at various points, but I mostly will talk about stuff that I know most directly. I'm a very hard active follower, but I'll do my best. So I'm proud that our administration is moving forward with an open data program, for example. One that's encouraging both internally and externally, encouraging departments to make data available, and also encourage the types of projects, research, apps that will harness it, whether in academia, public service, community work, etc. We actually had an inspiring meeting with part of the IMP team yesterday, and we just made me realize just how much potential is there. and how much other places, from Colorado to Philadelphia to other cities, are doing this more and better, and that we're going to be able to do our own version, which I think will unleash a lot of really creative work for this city, and I think is quite relevant to the stuff that we're talking about today. As I also review the work that I'm more directly involved in on a comprehensive plan for the city, which has 2 published elements so far, preservation and open space before my time here, and several more to come for transportation of the arts. My North Star is to ask, as we revisit how to complete and take forward a comprehensive plan, the North Star is how will this be one that empowers the people of Pittsburgh, and how will this plan be a springboard, more of a platform for creativity than a rule book. And we need that platform because we do need the best and brightest to help us connect green infrastructure to our approach to planning, for example. I like to think that we've got some of the best and brightest in my department in this city, but crowdsourcing is not the answer to every challenge. At the same time, when we talk about the best and brightest today, part of the whole reason for discussing open data, and part of the whole reason for this type of event, what we're talking about, is that the best and brightest today is an expanded field. It can't be sort of 25 people in the mayor's office. That's not what we're talking about. We have the good fortune perhaps to have that, but we also recognize every day it's about relying on and counting on and engaging the expertise and knowledge and resources of a much wider field. So, that said, we need to harness the entrepreneurial energy of the city's community groups who are determined to build better neighborhoods and a better Pittsburgh. We need all the creativity we can get to address issues from vacant lots to housing and transportation. We also need to be sure that while, in the end, planning has to meet core responsibilities regarding land use review, uses, buildings, form, etc., we have to recognize that planning is not only a 3-dimensional discipline, it's also a 4-dimensional one that exists in the context of time and a larger field. None of this happens in a vacuum or statically, but we're in a dynamic city, which is one which is facing incredible hurdles. It's also facing problems that might be characterized as the problems of success as well today. For example, an entertainment district or entertainment districts that have so many visitors that they're overwhelming their neighborhoods is a challenge that happens because people want to be here. And it's one that we have to address with new programs, including the recent new position developing on a program that's been worked on for about a year of a nighttime economy manager. Now, your June session, ideas, proposals, comments, included what if we hired, quote, connectors who know the whole ecosystem. Now, the nighttime economy manager was meant to sort of help make sure that the people are talking to each other and dealing with the problems and have policies, and the city can help, as well as just the community's own resources to be brought to bear on this, on all across the cross-section of city resources we do this. That may not be the connector for the ecosystem that you might have in mind at June 19th or 14th, but I would argue that that's exactly what this is. This is, in fact, we are working, and I think this administration is very focused on helping connectors who know the ecosystem have a meaningful role for the future of the city. And that's one of the most important things we can do because of the innovation. Similarly, we have a pedestrian coordinator around that position, which will be refilling very soon. And it is then a type of role that's meant to address that kind of stuff. To know the ecosystem, be able to work across disciplines and across communities and across departments in the city. And this is really important to move forward to the September 8th Pro Walk, Pro Bike, and Pro Place National Conference, which is happening here, as I said, September 8th. Also, you proposed the question at that session, how can Pittsburgh spread the word that it's a place where people can reinvent themselves? I think that's something that I spoke at the beginning of this. I'd like to reiterate that I think a city, a place where people know or feel or aspire that they can reinvent themselves, whether they're from here or from elsewhere, and that they have that kind of opportunity, happens in a city which is able to demonstrate both in its physical and its presence and that it can change. It can be an inspiration for personal transformation and economic transformation as well. So that's why I'm thrilled to be on the planning team, working with the mayor's sustainability leaders to look at an eco-district approach to the city, to look at a tool where we can imagine responsible growth that is not just plugged into our existing systems of transportation, energy use, and mixed use, but builds a new and improved version that hits the 3 E's of the economy, environment, and equity. And as I said, the city can reinvent itself, a person can. So you had so many great ideas back then in June, now we're about a month later, not quite. Ideas for more third spaces for creatives to come together. And I'd like to make sure that you understand that we are committed to addressing the strengths and weaknesses of what's in our code and in our policies regarding if we're getting in the way of opportunities. Are there uses that are restricted that we should actually rethink? It's not something we'll do in a vacuum, I want to reassure you. It's not, but are there uses that are different now in terms of does where work happen? Has it changed? Does the relationship between building form because of different ways of working, has that changed? That's all stuff that we're going to look very closely to our experience of like, if we always see a variance, well then maybe that's something that has changed and we need to recognize that. If there's a new type of really important economic activity that something about our code is actually getting in the way of, we wanted to deal with that. And so it's both, part of our job is both to facilitate, stimulate, get out of the way, and all those are different things that are part of our responsibilities. So the way I summarize it is the work that I've done looking at the role of culture in cities, both in cities that I know best and worked in, and here in Pittsburgh and beyond, is just a simple term of success looks different now. I think that you could say that very much for the university we're in right now. Mayor Picciuto is committed to Pittsburgh leading around the following a new definition of urban success. And it's this session here today that's integral to that definition and vision. Thank you very much.